This is TV6 News live at 5 with Jenny Weir, Patrick Malcoane, and Christine Manika. TV6 News by students for students.
Hello, and welcome to TV6 News. I'm Christine Manika. Last week was the inauguration week at St. Joseph's College, and the final of the week was well worth the wait. Students, staff, and friends of St. Joseph's College filled the chapel Friday afternoon, leading up to the inauguration of the 18th president in the school's history. The beautiful afternoon of blue sky and light breeze was perfect for the festivities. Dignitaries included SJC faculty members and members of the Board of Trustees made the academic procession from Halleck Center to the chapel. Professor Turner is one of the many new faculty members to join the Puma family this year. Let's go to Lindsay working outside. Lindsay, how's the weather out there?
Thank you, Christine. The weather is beautiful. We have a full week of mild fall weather, so make sure you get outside to enjoy it. After this break, I will have more of a weather report for you.
This week's International Spotlight focuses on AJ Volk, a senior here at SJC. She has some encouraging advice for future international students, as well as some comparisons of the states to her homeland, Canada.
Well, I mean, we always go and try and win indoor and outdoor conference. That's kind of the crux of what we're trying to do. In track and field, it's completely different than most other sports where people say you got to give 100% all the time. It's about periodization, it's about peaking at the right time. So beginning of the season, we may lose the teams that we had no business losing to, but it's based on what we're trying to accomplish through the course of the year. So always try and win indoor and outdoor conference with both genders. And then we try and get 5 to 6 kids to nationals.
Here's the latest in Puma sports. The football team ended the season with a loss to the University of Indianapolis on Saturday, 21-16. The loss stopped SJC from ending the season with a winning record. Starting quarterback Philip Kimball was knocked out of the game with a separated shoulder, but the Pumas had a chance at the end of the game, but couldn't put the ball in the end zone as the clock expired. Kimball passed for 126 yards, and backup Nick Foss added 107 for the Pumas. Thanks for joining me this evening. For TV6 News, I'm Christine Manika.
We are at the 2017 Ducky Derby sponsoring the Special Olympics. Over 50,000 ducks race along the Chicago Riverwalk, sponsoring the 22,000 athletes in Illinois alone. Being in Chicago, there are a lot of parking garages, but what separates one from the rest? Having an urban farm on the roof. Here at Wise Hospital, farmers plant, grow, and harvest a variety of vegetables for you to enjoy. They even grow these huge sunflowers behind me. If you want to know more information about this farm, you can go to wisehospital.com.
Yeah, it's an excellent midfield. There's no two ways about it. I think at the end of last season, one of the big keys for them was the balance and the control that they were able to find in their midfield. And even at the end of the season, when a guy like Gareth Bale was out injured, and they put a player like Isco on, it meant that their team changed in some ways, but in other ways, the control that they were able to have in so many big games really tilted the bar in their favor.
There were fireworks out at Wrigley Field today. John Lackey and Wilson Contreras both getting tossed out of the game, and the Cubs bats erupting as they beat the Cardinals in Game 1 of a weekend series. We pick it up in the 4th inning. Cubs trailed by a run until Chris Bryant hits a bomb right to center and gone to tie the game at 1. That was Bryant's 27th of the year. The fireworks continued in the 5th. John Lackey's 2-2 pitch looks like a strike but called a ball by the home plate umpire, Jordan Baker. Lackey starts yelling at Baker until he tells him to simmer down a little bit. And wouldn't you know it, on the next pitch, Carlos Martinez singles to right center. The Cards take a 2-1 lead. Lackey backs up home plate and uses that time to yell some more, and he's tossed. Wilson Contreras also had a few choice words as well, and he was ejected as well. But apparently that was what the Cubs needed to get things going, because in the 6th, they go on a tear. Alex Avila singles up the middle. Brian rounds third and then stops, but then he decides to go home. Brian beats the throw to tie the game, and that was only the beginning. 2 runs later, Ian Happ singles to right with the bases loaded. 2 more runs come home. The Cubs score 7 times in the inning, and they win it 8-2. The Cubs are up 4 on the Cardinals and 3.5 games up on the Brewers, who are still playing right now. Sox in Detroit tied at 2 in the bottom of the 9th. Tigers with 2 on, and Mike Matuk singles up the middle. And former Cubs J-Mar Candelario scores the walk-off run. Sox lose 3-2. The Bears have lost 8 straight games on the road, but the last time they did win away from Soldier Field was in Tampa. They beat the Buccaneers on the road in December of 2015, and our Lou Canellis thinks they are going to do it again. Thanks, Lou. The Illini visiting 22nd ranked South Florida on the Bucs home field in Tampa. Rough night for Lovie Smith's crew. South Florida's quarterback Quinton Flowers threw for a touchdown and rushed for another in the first half. Illinois trailed by 14 at the break, and South Florida is rolling now 37-15 in the 4th quarter. The Royals beat the Indians tonight, so Cleveland's winning streak ends at 22. And finally, this. Jason Day had a great day at the BMW Championship out on Conway Farms. A little flop shot on the par 5. 14th hole goes around the cup in for the Eagle. Day jumped into the lead at 11 under par. Then ahead on the 17th shot, his tee shot from 189 yards lands and tracks right toward the hole and disappears for a hole in one. Look at that, high fives all around. Day finished at 13 under with a round of 65. He is 3 behind leader Mark Leishman heading into the weekend. And that's all for sports. Back to you.
I'm Christine Manika here at St. Xavier University with former White Sox player Ron Kittel. Mr. Kittel, it is great for you to come out here today.
Well, you know, this is pretty special. It's a great association. It's nice being with the White Sox, Xavier, to work together. I mean, that's fun. It's a great community thing, and it's a pretty good-looking campus.
It is a really nice-looking campus. So kind of take me into how you started to play baseball a little bit.
Well, it started back when I was a wee kid. I loved playing all sports, and it just got to the point where there was a baseball field across the street that my dad helped build when my brother was older, and I just went over there as a bat boy. I always wanted to be a professional baseball player. I knew I could. And I was telling one of the kids that just walked by here, the only one that lets you down is yourself.
Once you had that little injury setback, what motivated you to want to get back in the game?
Well, I had a tough dad. It was either get up or, go somewhere else. But you got to believe in yourself. And you know what? I hated everybody when I got hurt. There's nobody I liked, including family members. I just said, why did it happen to me? And then sometimes you just sit back and say, it happened for a reason. I accepted it, and I went out there and tried to create something a little bit different than somebody else. I will never let anybody outwork me, no matter what it is. I always tell my son I would rather die of a heart attack than let him do something better than me.
Give me a little insight on your journey with the White Sox. What was the camaraderie? What was the atmosphere like back then as composed to today?
Well, obviously the paychecks are way a little different than what I had. They got a lot more zeros on theirs instead of what I had here. I made more money ironworking than I did playing pro baseball at the time. But you get to meet guys who have a passion for the game, who are very good, or you don't get to the major leagues, and the same heart and desire to go out there to win and compete. I played for 3 or 4 different teams, 6 years with the White Sox though, and every team had the same attitude. They want to go out there and be the best you possibly can for that given day, and if you fail, you got to come back the next day.
Welcome to SXU TV for this Cougar pregame show as your St. Xavier Cougars are taking on the Taylor University Trojans for this homecoming weekend. I am Ricky, and alongside me is Sean.
You don't look like Ricky.
Are you sure?
Yeah, definitely grew your hair out, Ricky.
I am filling in for Ricky, and I am Christine. And Sean, you had the opportunity last week to witness the first Cougar loss of the season against the University of St. Francis. Give me a little take on what happened.
It was a rough game. First quarter, 25 unanswered points from St. Xavier. They gave up 25 points to St. Francis. St. Francis was just dominating the ball offensively. They were converting on third down, converting on fourth downs, and I think we only saw 1 or 3 punts really in that throughout that whole entire game. So St. Francis was extremely efficient moving the ball. St. Xavier had tough time defending Alex Martinez. I can't talk today. Alex Martinez giving up 9 sacks. So it was a rough game from St. Xavier. There are some positives you can take away from that game, though. You look at Michael Marasovic. He was able to get 5 catches and a touchdown. You also saw Nick Suzuki get 10 catches for 93 yards, and you saw some improvement from Alex Martinez. He didn't look terrible. It wasn't like he was, the loss is all on him. I mean, it was a team loss there. Overall, I think it was a decent performance from the Cougars, and you did take some bright spots where maybe, if a couple things did go the Cougars' way, they might have been able to upset the #1 team in the nation.
The Lynx and the Cougars here on SXU TV. Welcome in, everybody. Ricky Widmer here, along with not Sean Anderson. I am joined by Christine Manika for this one. First off, Christine, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I feel like this is going to be a great game against the Cougars and the Lynx.
Just like always, it will be Suzuki and Davis. And Lentz will kick things off. And, it's a squib kick and it hit a Cougar. And the Lynx are going to start with the ball at midfield. What a tricky play to start this one. A squib kick at the leg of a Cougar blocker.
That's a way to do a strategy for the first start of this game for sure, to get everyone off their game. Suzuki is ready to receive the ball, and then just a flop kick, basically. Unbelievable.
And now the snap in the backfield. They're going to hand it off. That's going to be Mike Ivlo. And he shakes the tackle, and he's going to go at the 50-yard line. And he's got green grass in front of him. And then it's going to be a 99-yard touchdown for Mike Ivlo.
Mike Ivlo just set the record for St. Xavier for a 98-yard run for the touchdown. Great job, Mike Ivlo. And Sean, let's kind of recap what happened last week. Actually, let's kind of recap what was supposed to happen last week. The game was supposed to start at 1 o'clock. Then it got moved back the day before at 11. Then right when we got into the booth, they said 10:45 start. The game didn't end up starting until around 12:20. And then 9 minutes into the first quarter, another delay happened, and we were stuck for another 2 hours. So the game really didn't get underway until about 2:30 in the afternoon, would you say?
Yeah, around 2:30, and then even then, once the game was started, they even only had a 3-minute halftime break because the rain was absolutely blasting Broussard Deaton Memorial Field. They were blasting the players. I mean, it was insane. Luckily, the Lightning held off from that 2:30 to about 3:30 gap so they could get the game in.
Welcome back to SXU TV, where your Cougar football team is about to take on the St. Ambrose Fighting Bees. I'm Christine Manika, and joining me right now is someone that has a little defensive eye for the team, Jesse Gonzalez. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. So let's kind of talk about last week's craziness. So what was running through your mind the entire game?
I thought there was going to be a tornado or something, but I'm not a weatherman, so I was just checking the radar every like 15 minutes. I thought we weren't going to play until about like 8 o'clock at night, but this showed that it was still going to rain. So my mindset was just squeeze it in, no halftime, let's get it done, and let's get the W.
What was it like playing on the field with those types of conditions? Because this was the first game of the season where you had to deal with something like that.
I draw back to like past games. Like we had a couple games last year or 2 years ago, Olivet or Ave Maria, where the weather wasn't that great. But first play, I got cut blocked, so I got soaked right away. So after that, you're good to go.
You extend your win with Trinity 13 seasons now, and you remain number 10 in the NAIA poll. How does that make you feel being a senior and being someone that has been on this team for a while?
It reminds me of the semifinal year. I feel like we have a great team that we could keep building on, and we win these next 4 games, and we're going to make a run for the national championship.
You are listening to SXU TV, prepping for the homecoming game this weekend against Taylor University Trojans. Joining me is Sean. I am Christine, and when we come back, Sean has a chance to sit down with Coach Fem, and we'll hear what he has to say after this. Do not touch that space bar.
Should have said dial.
I know.